Welcome back to Evolve Jamaica. When was the last time you walked along Kingston's waterfront and thought, this is what a capital city waterfront should look like? For decades, we've heard the same story, reviving downtown Kingston. Cruise terminals, waterfront boardwalks, mixed-use developments. Most of that never made it past the artist renderings and press conferences. But here's why this episode matters. Something different is happening. The government and UDC have secured international funding for a new waterfront park. They're advancing the Kingston Harbour Walk, a roughly 25-kilometer planned waterfront route and coastal resilience project stretching from downtown towards Port Royal. And while we're not seeing private developers putting up towers yet, major companies are investing in something equally critical, making downtown clean and safe through targeted cleanup initiatives. So today, we're breaking down what's real versus what's still on paper. The projects that are actually funded, the work happening on the ground, and whether this waterfront vision will finally materialize or stall like previous plans. Kingston Harbor is one of the largest natural harbors in the world, often ranked around 7th globally. It's deep, it's protected, and historically it's been one of the most important ports in the Caribbean region. But if you're walking through downtown Kingston today, you'd barely know the water exists. We've turned our backs on one of our greatest natural assets. Industrial zones block access. Public spaces are neglected. The city and the sea remain largely disconnected. Meanwhile, cities around the world have transformed their waterfronts into economic engines. Cape Town, Barcelona, Singapore, even smaller Caribbean capitals have turned their waterfronts into tourism magnets, economic hubs, and vibrant public spaces. Kingston has tried before. Some pieces materialized like the festival marketplace at Pechon Street, but larger visions never fully came together. So what's different this time? The strategy has shifted. Instead of waiting for private developers to take the lead, the government is building the foundation first: the park, the infrastructure, the coastal protection, then inviting private investment into a functioning environment. Let's start with the Kingston Waterfront Improvement Project, known as Kiwi. This is a government-led waterfront park backed by World Bank financing, designed to create a functional public space on downtown Kingston's waterfront. The facts: the government of Jamaica signed a $12 million loan agreement with the World Bank's International Bank for Reconstruction and Development specifically for this project. The total program cost is estimated at around $40 million, with the government co-financing beyond the World Bank loan. According to official project documents, Kiwi will design and implement a modern multi-use waterfront park that includes walking and cycling paths, play areas and sports facilities, public seating and landscaping, low-carbon, energy-efficient buildings with renewable energy integration. This focuses on a specific section of downtown Kingston's waterfront, designed to demonstrate that downtown can be clean, safe, and attractive. Now let's talk about the Kingston Harbour Walk. This is a roughly 25-kilometer planned waterfront route and linear park concept, designed as both public space and coastal resilience infrastructure. The UDC's plan describes this as a continuous waterfront pathway that would eventually run from downtown Kingston to Port Royal, creating connected waterfront access along Kingston Harbor. The project is broken into 3 main segments for phase development. What distinguishes this from a simple walking path is its framing as climate adaptation infrastructure. The Harbour Walk is designed with coastal protection features, ecological restoration elements, and flood management systems, creating a shared pedestrian and cycle route that also serves as sea defense. With sea levels rising and storms intensifying, Kingston's downtown waterfront faces real vulnerability. This project aims to address both public space and coastal protection simultaneously. Before moving forward, it's worth acknowledging what already exists. The Festival Marketplace and Food Bazaar at Pechon Street is a functioning UDC waterfront development with vendor kiosks, seating areas, and a parking area that transforms into outdoor event space. This demonstrates waterfront activation in practice, people using the space, vendors operating businesses, and events bringing activity to the area. UDC describes this as part of their larger waterfront vision. When Harbor Walk segments are built, Festival Marketplace is meant to connect into that broader network of waterfront access points. So the development isn't starting from zero. There's existing proof that public waterfront projects can function in Kingston. Now, let's look at where the private sector is currently investing: street-level management and cleanup. The Jamaica Chamber of Commerce and Kingston Restoration Company, working with the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, and sponsored by Grace Kennedy, Scotiabank, Pan Jam Investment, and VM Group, launched Our City Kingston, also called the Downtown Kingston Revival Initiative. This initiative targets 8 strategic blocks in downtown Kingston to make them cleaner, safer, and more business-friendly. What that means in practice: city wardens in branded uniforms patrolling designated blocks, assisting the public and providing visible presence. Daily street cleaning with consistent maintenance. Heavy equipment brought in to clear accumulated waste and long-standing problem areas. This might seem less dramatic than building new structures, but it addresses a fundamental issue. No serious investor will commit hundreds of millions to a waterfront development if the surrounding streets remain poorly maintained or unsafe. The cleanup establishes the baseline conditions that make larger investments viable. It's foundational work that's happening right now, funded by major corporations who understand that street-level order is a prerequisite for the next phase of development. We've discussed what's happening now. Let's address what this is designed to enable: private sector investment. The Kingston Waterfront Improvement Project documents are explicit about their objectives: revitalize Kingston's waterfront, attract private sector investments, support local micro, small, and medium enterprises around the project site. The UDC's investment materials position the waterfront as a development opportunity and connect it to broader real estate potential in downtown Kingston. The strategy is straightforward. Establish the public infrastructure first: the park, the Harbor Walk, and the improved streetscape. Create a clean, safe, attractive environment. Then position downtown as viable for private development in offices, residential, hospitality, and retail. Currently, we're in the infrastructure phase, setting the foundation. Based on publicly available information as of January 2026, there isn't a confirmed list of multiple new private high-rise or major commercial projects already under construction directly on the downtown waterfront. Most of the concrete details in the public domain concern public infrastructure, designs, funding agreements, and government-led works. The private development wave that this infrastructure is meant to attract hasn't materialized yet. That doesn't mean it won't happen, but it's important to be clear about the current status. We have public projects with secured funding and corporate-backed cleanup initiatives. The anticipated private build-out remains in the future planning stage. Now let's address the legitimate concerns and challenges these projects face. Media coverage of these waterfront projects often balances optimism with skepticism that has historical basis. What's potentially different this time is the structure of formal international financing. The World Bank and international development banks typically require detailed implementation plans and accountability mechanisms before committing funds. However, that doesn't eliminate risks. Projects can face delays, scope can be reduced during implementation, and the long-term question of maintenance remains. Will these spaces still be well-maintained 5 or 10 years after completion, or will they fall into the same neglect pattern we've seen elsewhere? Both UDC and the World Bank frame these projects as climate adaptation infrastructure, with coastal protection against storm surge and flooding as core objectives. This creates a tension. Building public parks and attempting to attract investment in an area facing increasing climate stress from sea level rise, stronger hurricanes, and more frequent flooding. The critical questions are whether this infrastructure will provide the promised protection, whether it's designed to withstand conditions 20 or 30 years from now, and whether the investment will prove resilient or vulnerable to future climate impacts. There's another question that deserves attention. If downtown becomes cleaner, safer, and more attractive, property values will likely increase. Without deliberate policy measures to protect existing residents and small businesses, there's a risk of displacement as rising costs push out people who've been in the area for decades. This is a conversation that needs to happen proactively, not after development is complete and displacement is already occurring. Let's bring this together. Kingston's waterfront mega rebuild is currently a public sector story. World Bank financing, UDC projects, government co-funding. On the private side, we have corporate investment in street management and cleanup, not development projects. The next chapter, significant private investment, depends entirely on whether these public projects get built and maintained. If the Kiwi Park is completed and becomes a well-used public space, that establishes proof of concept. If the first Harbour Walk segments are built and function effectively as both public amenity and coastal protection, that signals to investors that Kingston is serious about waterfront development. If the cleanup initiatives continue and downtown maintains improved conditions, the environment becomes more conducive to private investment. But if implementation stalls, if maintenance fails, if this becomes another cycle of unfulfilled promises, we're back where we started. Kingston has one of the world's great natural harbors. The potential is undeniable. Whether we have the sustained commitment to realize that potential is the question. I'd like to hear your perspective in the comments. Do you think this foundation, the park, the Harbour Walk, the cleanup, will actually attract the anticipated private investment? Or will this follow the pattern of previous downtown plans? If you live or work downtown, are you seeing these changes on the ground? If you found this analysis useful, please like this video, subscribe to Evolve Jamaica for more in-depth coverage of Jamaica's development, and share this with anyone who needs to understand what's actually happening with our waterfront. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.